name is Raj Patel. I'm the company manager for the Bootleg Beatles. We are at the Royal Concert Hall in Nottingham. This is the 10th show of 14 on our Christmas tour. The band started off in '79. They were original cast members of a West End show called Beatlemania. And when that finished, they thought they'd just carry on doing it for a few months and see how it went. And obviously, 36 years later, obviously with a different lineup, they're still going. I joined in 1993, so I've been doing it full time with them for 22 years. And it was around that time that we started going into theatres and started touring properly. Before that, they were really doing just social clubs and working men's clubs and universities and corporates and stuff. But just before I joined, they started getting into theatres and they asked me to join them. The big thing that happened for the band was that Oasis, just before Definitely Maybe, became big fans of the band, and they invited us to go and support them in Brighton, and we were too busy, so we said we couldn't do it in Brighton, sorry, because we were already on tour at the time. I mean, I knew of the band. We didn't realise how big they were going to get in the space of about 6 months. But we stayed friendly with them. They came to Southampton in the end to come and see the show. We had a few drinks with them afterwards. And then the next year in '95, it went mental for Oasis. And they remembered us and they asked us to support them in Earl's Court. Two massive shows, and from then on it just kicked off. Glastonbury wanted us, Tea in the Park, festivals around Europe, tours everywhere. We made massive ticket sales in our own tours as well. That was the kickstart to this kind of second phase of the Bootleg Beatles career, and we haven't looked back since then. It's been fantastic. We do 2 UK tours. We do one in March, one in December. We do an Australian tour, we do a Dutch tour, we do a Belgian tour, we do Denmark. We do tours in different places depending on our demand and whether we're available or not. But it's probably about 90 to 100 shows a year. We try not to do more than 100 because it starts killing people off. Basically, the band want to go home and be with their families and stuff. But it's a pretty heavy schedule, and we're booking to 2017 at the moment, so it's still looking good for us. We were really naive in those days. I mean, the early days we would carry everything in a 7.5 ton truck, backline, little PA, little drapes which would just roll down. Someone would pull a string and the drape would roll down. And 6 park cams on 2 stands, and we'd do places like the Manchester Apollo, 2,500 people. Somehow got away with it, but then it was in those days it was a new thing that tribute wasn't widely accepted, wasn't widely known, and we were like one of the first ones. So people came out of fascination. They quite enjoyed it, and I remember the ticket prices then were like £7.50 for Manchester Apollo. I think we put it up to a tenner for the Hammersmith Apollo or something like that. So it was new for everyone. So we had this tiny little PA, and after the Oasis kind of summer, where we did Nebworth and Loch Lomond and stuff, we got a promoter in who wanted us to do a few shows, and that's the first time he booked us into the Albert Hall, which is where we really knew that once we started doing these bigger venues and arenas, we were doing Birmingham as well, Sheffield, that we had to get a massive hike in production costs and actually just advance it more and start talking to companies about providing proper PA, proper lighting, trucking, catering, all that kind of stuff. We had to find a PA company and a lighting company to do the Albert Hall, which is in 1994, and we didn't have any recommendations, so I just basically whizzed through the white book, and in those days Entec would have a whole page advert in there, and I thought, they look quite good, and then someone told me, they do the Who and all these other bands. I thought, wow, let's just do something that they've done before. So we booked. It was Noreen was my first contact, September 1994. We did the show in December, I think it was. And she kind of knew that we were new to all this. And so she didn't just book the lighting, she helped us put the whole thing together in terms of getting the lighting to the venue. We were very naive about trucking and all that kind of thing. So she was like a support person for us as well in terms of giving us advice on what we should do and all that. She gave us a rock bottom price, which in those days for us was still a lot of money, but looking back at it now was an absolute bargain. And she and Dick Hayes at the time, they put the whole system in for us at the Albert Hall. And since then we've just basically stayed loyal to them, and Even now, Noreen's still on the other end of the phone if I need anything. We've got now proper video, and the lighting has improved since then as well. We spend a lot more money on lighting now. We've got proper designers that design these shows. We've had 3 or 4 designers over the years. They've all been recommended by Entec. They've done good jobs. So it's developed massively, from 1 truss to 2 trusses to, 1 year we had 4 trusses. We had moving trusses up and down, which was a bit too white snake for me for that year. But the band didn't really like it, but the designer loved it. So we've experimented, and it's still an ongoing thing. So, we've got to keep up with it, because you could play the same songs every year, but you've got to make the visual side a bit different every year as well. So it's very, very important that we try and present something different every year. The current production is fantastic. It's quite minimalistic in some ways. It's just 2 trusses. There's a lot of moving fixtures there, which Simon will tell you later on about. And it kind of complements the videos. Now we've got a lot more videos this year as well, so it complements that very well. We've got lighting underneath the drum riser now as well, which does specific gobos and stuff like that. So it's an improvement from last year. You always wonder whether there's anything more you can do with the show. But people like Simon and Noreen and Pepper and Lurch, who are with us every year, they come up with something fantastic, especially Simon. Hi, Noreen.